There are 9 hidden wealth killers quietly sabotaging your finances without you even knowing it. And today, we're uncovering America's top wealth killers and revealing how you can avoid them at all costs. By understanding these silent threats, you can create a stronger financial position now and in the future. Let's dive into the first wealth killer you may have never even considered in your entire life. Some of you might not like hearing this, but I'm about to spill the tea and share the truth. You're listening to Priceless Tay, and we're here to combat financial illiteracy, ensuring young people financially thrive, not just survive. And in today's episode, we're diving deep into the biggest wealth killers in America and sharing how you can avoid falling into all of those traps. Let's start building that priceless wealth financial future together. Let's talk about another wealth killer that many people are guilty of, and that is procrastination. This habit can impact every single area of your life, but it hits hardest, in my opinion, when it comes to your finances. We often wait for the right time, the right amount of money to do everything. But when it comes to your finances, the right time to take control was literally yesterday, a year ago, and that is the God's honest truth. First, let's consider inflation here. While a $20 bill today has the same face value as a $20 bill 3 years from now, that future $20 will most likely buy fewer goods and services. It's worth more to you today than it is tomorrow. And this is like when you hear your grandparents like, oh, a pack of gum used to cost me 5 cents, or a loaf of bread used to cost me 10 cents, things like that. Now a loaf of bread be costing $20 depending on where you're getting it from. Inflation is not going to pause for you, so you shouldn't put your financial future on hold either. Waiting for tomorrow's busy schedule to magically clear up so you can finally invest part of your paycheck is not going to happen. You have to take action right now, and when it comes to investing, time in the market beats timing the market every single time. All right, I want you to imagine starting to invest $100 each week today. Assuming a 10% annual return, you'd have around $82,000 after 20 years. Time is on your side when it comes to growing your wealth, and the earlier you start prioritizing it, the more successful you will be. If you need help figuring out how to start investing, check out our blog for so many resources. When you're ready to open up that investment account, head to pricelesstay.com/brokerage to see our top recommendations. Let's take a look at another area where procrastination can really hurt your financial well-being: high interest debt. Mismanagement of debt is one of the most visible examples of how procrastination can cost your time, money, and opportunities. And let's say you make a late payment on a credit card. That may result in a one-time fee of $25 or more, but multiple late payments not only take cash out of your pocket, but also damage your credit rating, which can take years to repair. A poor credit rating can result in paying thousands of dollars more in interest on a car loan, a mortgage, other credit cards, and so much more. Your credit isn't actually the only thing affected here too. You're also paying tons of money in interest by not prioritizing putting more money towards your debt now. If you're only paying the minimum on your credit card payments, that loan you're essentially paying off will grow exponentially. I don't know why I said that weird. Anyway, this can all be avoided by prioritizing paying down your high interest debt now. I know paying off debt can seem overwhelming when you're first starting to look at it, and it's a lot easier to avoid it, but prioritizing, maybe by skipping going out one weekend and putting that $50 to $100 towards your debt instead, will be much more worth it in the long run. For anybody struggling to figure out how to create a debt repayment plan, head to pricelesstay.com/calculators and use our quizzes to develop a plan. And taking the first step today to better your financial future is worth it. Trust me. There's no doubt that procrastination can wreak havoc on your finances, and the potential damage generally isn't limited to a single area. All of your financial decisions are interconnected, so a poor decision in one area, such as poor credit management, impacts other areas like the amount of money you can save or how quickly you can pay off existing debt. By addressing this procrastination head on, you'll be setting yourself up for a more stable and prosperous financial future. Your past behaviors do not have to define your future. It's about taking new steps now with the new knowledge you have. All right, next, let's shift into the common emotion that has a huge influence on how we make many decisions in our life, especially when it comes to money. Summer is upon us, and it's about to be the best one yet. Why? Because this summer, you're feeling yourself and are ready to be a freak in the sheets. A freak in the sheets, Tay? Are you serious? I know you're absolutely dying to be a freak in the sheets this summer. And that's why I present to you Priceless Tay's budget template. Get down and dirty in the sheets. Go from broke to bougie. And take control of your money instead of it controlling you this summer. Go to pricelesstay.com/budget template to learn more. Check it out. This one might shock you, it might not shock you, but the next wealth-killing habit is, drumroll please, fear. Fear often manifests in financial decision-making as a response to uncertainty or perceived risks. It can lead to a reluctance to invest because you're scared the stock market might crash, causing us to miss out on potentially wealth growing opportunities. When in fact, let me just say, when the stock market is crashing, guess what? That's a fire sale and banging opportunity for you to invest at a discount. Because let me tell you, when you see something at the store that's discounted, you think twice about getting it because you're like, oh, it's discounted. I should probably get it now so I can save a little bit more money. Exactly how that thing works here. But understanding the source of fear is critical. Is it a fear of losing money, a fear of missing out, or maybe a fear of financial instability? Identifying these underlying fears empower us to make more informed and rational decisions. And in personal finances, emotions are as much of a part of the equation as numbers. Although if it wasn't, it would definitely be a lot easier to do this whole personal finance thing, but it does come up naturally. Fear and anxiety, though powerful, shouldn't necessarily dictate our financial destinies. By acknowledging their presence and employing practical strategies, we can reclaim control over our financial decisions. So, this leads us to the next question. Why exactly can money be so freaking scary? A lot of us fear bad news. A lot of us fear looking at decisions we've made that we cannot undo. I try to lead my life with #no regrets, but sometimes it's definitely a hard one. A lot of us wrap our worth up in what we think the numbers say about us. All of that is very, very emotional, and that's really the biggest overriding reason why finances are so scary in the first place. There are some very real financial problems and societal burdens placed upon people, and I definitely don't deny that. What I'm saying here is that we all have the ability to make a positive change to our financial outlook, and it begins facing our financial fears. Instead of letting fears be a wealth killer in our lives, here's what we can do instead. First, you need to know where you stand, and that's by looking at the numbers. Let's be real here. This may be uncomfortable at first. Sitting down and getting a handle on your numbers, like what's coming in and what's going out, is going to be your best friend. By taking an honest look at your financial situation and knowing your numbers inside and out, you can grasp the reality of the situation. Let's talk about a huge wealth killer in America. And this might sound crazy, but it is your whip, your car. Hear me out. We live in a society where we constantly compare ourselves to others. You might see people from your high school hitting the dealership and driving in a brand new Mercedes Benz. I'm not saying it's all that bad, but you're listening to this episode because you want to avoid all of the wealth killers and start growing your wealth. So I'm here to tell you, just because everybody's doing it, you may be seeing your parents do it as well too, doesn't mean you have to follow suit. Aside from buying a home, a new car is often the second largest purchase for most people. More than 100 million Americans have a car loan, and auto loan debt in the US currently stands at $1.5 trillion, which is a record high. Most of us need cars to get around, especially in America. So why would a car be one of the biggest wealth killers? Cars are typically depreciating assets, which means they lose value rapidly and aren't meant to make you money. Most cars lose up to 60% of their value within the first 5 years. This rapid depreciation makes them a terrible investment if your goal is to build wealth. Let's pull in a clip here from my friend Humphrey Yang to get his take on it. Let's check it out.
What is the number one wealth killer?
Yeah, new cars, car payments in general. So I made this video last year about the number one wealth killer that nobody talks about. In my opinion, I don't think anybody should ever buy a new car. If you're trying to be financially savvy, never buy new, because buying a new car is basically just throwing your money away to depreciation most of the time.
And how much are you losing once you drive the car off the lot?
Yeah, off the lot, depending on the model, 15%, 20% right off the top there. And then in the first 3 years, you typically lose 40% of the car's value. That's typical depreciation curves. Obviously, for some sports model cars, it could be a lot higher. For some cars that hold their value well, like I think a RAV4 holds their value really well, it might be lower, but on average about 40%. Okay. But you should almost try to always buy a car that's 3 years used. I found that that's the sweet spot, because if it's 3 years used, it still feels new. It probably has less than 30,000 miles on it, hopefully. And honestly, the models don't change that often. So people will just look at you and they're like, oh, he's driving a new car. And it'll save you so much money. So if you are going to buy a new car, make sure it's 3 years used, 4 years used, maybe certified pre-owned, and you'll save a bunch of money that way.
Right now, the used car market isn't great. And I often hear people argue that they want to buy a new car because it helps you avoid maintenance costs. Here's my hot take on that. New cars do come with warranties that cover many repair costs for the first few years, and they generally have fewer problems compared to older models. But it's important to consider the bigger picture here. New cars lose value quickly. That is the big picture. This means you're losing money on your investment basically from the moment you drive it off the lot. Additionally, new cars usually come with higher insurance premiums due to their higher replacement value. This adds to your monthly expenses, which can offset any savings on maintenance. If you're financing the car, you'll likely pay more in interest over the life of the loan compared to just buying a used car outright. This is because new cars are generally more expensive, leading to larger loan amounts. And here's the big one. The money spent on a new car could be invested elsewhere. As with anything else that you're making a big purchase on, that money could always be invested. The could be's can always come up, potentially earning you more returns that outweigh the savings on the maintenance. By buying a reliable used car instead, you can allocate the extra money towards investments, savings, or paying down debts. When it comes to buying a car, the 24-10 rule is a smart way to keep your finances in check and avoid unnecessary debt. Let's break it down in a way that makes sense for you here. So I want you to first think of this as your car's first impression. You want to pay at least 20% of the car's price up front. Because why? The more you pay now, the less you'll owe later, which means smaller monthly payments. You'll own more of your car right from the start, so you won't owe more than it's worth if you decide to sell it. Cars lose value quickly, so this down payment helps you avoid being stuck with a car worth less than what you owe, aka it's called negative equity for the big financial jargon out there. Keep your car loan to 4 years or less. Here's why that's cool. Shorter term loans usually mean lower interest rates, saving you money over time. You'll be paying off the car faster, freeing up cash for other things you love or want to do, putting it towards a sinking fund to the trip to Costa Rica, for example. It encourages you to pick a car you can actually afford so you're not struggling to make payments and living within your means, aka car rich, life poor. If you ever heard of house rich, life poor, you can barely get by, but you have all these materialistic, like supposedly amazing things. All right, your car expenses, including payments and insurance, shouldn't eat up more than 10% of what you earn each month. Why stick to this? This ensures you have enough left over for other essentials like rent, food, fun, all the good things. Keeps you ready for any unexpected expenses so you're not stressed out about money. You can avoid overstretching and keeping your finances stable, helping you dodge debt traps. Let's use an example here because that was kind of a lot. Say you're eyeing a car that costs $25,000. For the down payment, you'd pay $5,000 up front, so you'd only need a $20,000 loan. For the loan term, choose a 4-year loan to keep interest costs low and ownership fast. For your monthly income, if you make $4,000 a month, aim to keep all car-related expenses under $400. The 24-10 rule is all about making sure your car purchase fits your budget and lifestyle. By considering the true cost of owning a new car, you can make smarter financial decisions and avoid this wealth killer. Keep your eyes on the big picture here, and remember, there are plenty of ways to enjoy your life without necessarily sacrificing your financial health. You just got an email in your inbox. OF. OF. Your girl or guy see that and gets upset with you, and they go into your phone and they see OF. Only Finance. Want to stay in the loop with us? Subscribe to our weekly newsletter by DMing us Only Finance. That's ONLY Finance on Instagram at Priceless Tay. Let's revolutionize your financial habits one Tuesday at a time. Let's dive deep into another major wealth killer, living beyond your means with housing. Whether you're renting a trendy new apartment or buying a house, it's easy to get caught up in the allure of a shiny new place. But if you're not careful, housing costs can quickly derail your financial goals. First, let's talk about the rent trap. For many Gen Zers, buying a home feels totally out of reach with today's high prices, so renting is often the go-to option. However, renting a brand new apartment that eats up more than 40% of your income can put you in a tough spot financially. Here's why that's a problem. When you're spending a huge chunk of your income on rent, it leaves little room for other essentials like groceries, transportation, savings, and fun activities. You end up living in this paycheck to paycheck cycle with no wiggle room for any sort of unexpected expenses. It's not just about covering those unexpected expenses that life throws at us, though. High rent costs means you have less money to save and invest. This slows down your progress towards your financial goals, aka early retirement, building an emergency fund, paying off student loans, or just investing in your future. Constantly worrying about making rent can lead to stress and anxiety. It can affect your mental health, overall financial well-being in general, making it harder to focus on careers, relationships, and personal growth. So you might be faced with a choice: stay living with your parents or get a place of your own. Society often pressures us to keep up with the Joneses, making it seem like moving out is the only way to prove your independence. You decide to take the plunge, but quickly realize how expensive everything is. Between rent, utilities, groceries, unexpected expenses, Buying your shampoo, conditioner, dishwasher, soap, detergent, those costs, garbage bags, those costs add up fast. I just want to say there's no shame in choosing to live at home if it helps you save money and reach your financial goals, especially if there is the opportunity to do so. Staying with your parents as long as you can gives you a financial cushion, allowing you to pay off debt, build up savings, or invest in your future. Plus, it gives you time to figure out what you truly want without the financial strain. If you choose to move out, make sure it's a decision that aligns with your financial goals and personal goals, not just because of societal pressure. Remember, everybody's journey is very different here, and what matters most is that you're making choices that support you, your long-term well-being. Whether you're flying solo or enjoying the comforts of home, focus on building a strong financial foundation that works for you. Now, let's move on to a big one, the house poor dilemma. I kind of alluded to it a little bit earlier. For those who are considering buying a home, there's a big risk of becoming house poor, which means purchasing a house that stretches your budget to the limit, leaving you with little cash for anything else. Here's how that can happen. So first, understanding the costs. Many first-time home buyers focus solely on the mortgage payment, forgetting about any other expenses like property taxes, HOA if there is one, insurance, maintenance, and repairs. These costs add up so quick and can eat into your budget. Unlike renting, buying a home is a long-term commitment, a very long-term commitment. If you're not prepared for the financial responsibility, you might find yourself stuck in a tough situation if your financial circumstances change. Just like with high rent, spending too much on a mortgage means less money for other financial goals, aka there's an opportunity cost here. You might have to delay paying off debt, saving for retirement, or investing in experiences like going backpacking to Europe that could potentially enrich your life and get you cultured, things like that. So how can you avoid falling into these housing traps? It's all about finding balance. And here are some tips for you to keep those housing costs in check. Aim to keep your housing cost, rent, or mortgage below 30% of your monthly income. This gives you more flexibility to save, invest, and enjoy life without financial stress. Think about what you value the most. Do you need all the amenities of a luxury apartment, or could you be just as happy with a more modest place with lower rent? If you're thinking about buying a home, make sure you're financially ready. Consider the long-term costs and ensure you have a solid emergency fund and a house emergency fund in case before taking that deep dive. And remember that your home is just one part of your financial future. Keep your mind open, long-term goals in mind, and make sure your housing choices support your goals rather than slow or hinder them. Consider renting in areas that are affordable yet have the potential for future growth. This way, you can balance affordability with quality of life and potential future benefits. Here's an example. Let's say you're earning $3,000 a month. Ideally, you should aim to spend no more than $900 on housing. If you're tempted by a $1,500 a month apartment, remember that $600 could be better used for savings, paying down debt, or investing in your future so you don't have to work as long because your investments will eventually pay and afford your lifestyle. Instead, find a comfortable place within your budget that allows you to live well without sacrificing your financial health. By keeping housing costs in check, you can avoid becoming house poor or falling into the rent trap. This way, you'll have the financial freedom to pursue your passions, enjoy life, and build that priceless financial foundation. As we wrap up this episode on Wealth Killers, remember that the path to financial success isn't about making drastic changes overnight. It's about recognizing the pitfalls that can drain your wealth and taking strategic steps to avoid them. From resisting the temptation of the shiny new brand new car to keeping your housing costs in check, every decision you make today sets the stage for your financial future. Do not let procrastination, fear, or societal pressures derail your goals. Instead, focus on understanding your finances, making informed decisions, and prioritizing what truly matters to you. Whether you're living with your parents, managing debt, or starting to invest, remember that your financial journey is unique to you. Empower yourself with knowledge. This helps you feel like you're in control, take control of your money, and build a life that aligns with your values and aspirations. And avoid these wealth killers. You will be well on your way to achieving financial freedom and living your best life. Thanks for listening to Priceless Tay. Be sure to like, subscribe, and give us a review wherever you listen to this podcast. And share this with a girly, broski, or a homie. You can find us on TikTok, Instagram, YouTube, and LinkedIn at Priceless Tay. If you'd like to ask us about your personal finances, whether that's diving deep into the sheets or advice on a money story, leave us a voice memo. contact@pricelesstay.com or go to pricelesstay.com/ask-pricelesstay. Please rate Priceless Tay wherever you listen to the show. Listen, when you rate the show, it helps reach more people, which there's a lot of people who want to thrive and not just survive. So help the community around you by rating the show.